nabbed. Huh, who knew? I did not know. Whoa, what a difference. What a difference a day makes. Okay, so my live stream on YouTube looks really good because I've got this badass 4K camera, which shows how stunningly good looking I really am. But I didn't know how to turn it on. And in my presets for going live, it says, no, you can't. Just use the camera that came with your computer. I didn't want to do that. So finally, just now I was about to go live. And the last screen it shows me says, oh, by the way, which camera do you want to use? Game changer. Game freaking changer. Yeah, wow, that is so much more vibrant. I like the word vibrant. You know what I don't like? I don't like the word negligible. You're probably wondering, well, why that word? Well, I didn't used to have a beef with it, but now I do, and here's why. What percentage of the United States electrical grid is hardened against EMP or solar flares? Based on the available 2026 assessments, a negligible percentage of the United States electric grid is fully hardened against a high altitude electromagnetic pulse, HEMP, or severe solar flare, geomagnetic disturbance. Definition of the word negligible. Negligible describes something so small, trifling, or unimportant that it can be safely disregarded or ignored. Well, fuck. I'm sorry for my potty mouth, but what else am I supposed to say to that? Like, that's it? That's the big reveal? After all these years of hardening the grid, after grid down, power up, after the 2000 Senate confirmation or committee hearings, and then the 2008 EMP board, which I have right here, EMP attack PDF. That's what the government calls it. Come on now. There we go. Report of the Commission to assess the threat of to the United States from electromagnetic pulse EMP attack, critical national infrastructures. It is 2008, and it was put together by, wow, it's a lot of people that are doctors. The commission members, Dr. John blah blah, doctor, and doctor. Okay, well, they obviously have PhDs in something, and that must mean they're not entirely stupid. So the 178 pages, 181 pages. No, it's more than that. I know that because I've read it. It's got to be 100 and oh, I see what they did. They okay, 181 pages, recommendations. The Department of Homeland Security should play a leading role in spreading knowledge of the nature of prudent mitigation preparations for EMP attack to mitigate its consequences. What? Yeah, we should mitigate them so that we can mitigate. Look at this. Department of Homeland Security should add content to its websites, to the websites it maintains, such as blah 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 ready.org, gov, which provides concise overviews of the threats posed by. Okay, whatever. So let's just go back a little bit here, shall we? Does Iran have the equivalent of Nitro Zeus? And you're going to love this answer. Iran does not possess a publicly documented equivalent of Nitro Zeus. Oh, so you mean our top secret our top secret cyber weapon that got exposed by the Israelis? Thank you, douchebags. That they accidentally exposed and showed the Iranians over a decade ago. They haven't actually publicly acknowledged that they have that now too. Huh. Well, those bastards, what are they keeping it a secret in case they have to shut down our grid? Yeah, that's probably exactly what they're doing. And by the way, key aspects of the of Iran's cyber capabilities, they're very good. And they're part of asymmetric warfare. When you're fighting somebody who is that outnumbers you 10,000 to 1 with beans and bullets and 3 to 1 in terms of people, you don't go out on the battlefield like in the old days of the English and French and stand across each other in open field. That's not how it works. The smaller guys, if they're smart, make it asymmetric, which means that instead of I put 10, you put 10, let's have them see who wins. You put 10, and I've only got 2, but guess what? You don't know where they are, and you can't see them, but they can see you. And they can do harm to you without you doing harm back. That's asymmetric warfare. So would the by the way, and it does go on to say this, in the years following Stuxnet and Nitro Zeus revelations, Iran has developed a highly capable offensive cyber core, shifting from a defensive posture, which it had before Israel attacked them, to now a potent and active cyber power capability of targeting critical infrastructure. So no, I don't stay up at night because I'm bored. I stay up at night because I'm concerned that if this kicks off again, which it will. By the way, did you notice that the war is back on? Yeah, as of a couple hours ago, Trump said that their negotiations were basically bullshit and he wanted nothing to do with them. Gee, right before oil started trading again internationally. Huh, I wonder if it's up. It is. They always seem to make these announcements Sunday or Monday morning, right before the market opens. Who could have possibly seen that coming? I don't even care. I don't care. Look, the least amount of damage that you can possibly do to the United States is fucking around with the oil futures market to make yourself a few $1 trillion. Whatever, man. Look, at this point, that's like saying, oh, I cut myself shaving when you just lost your leg and there's no tourniquet yet. Yeah, well, that shaving cut could turn out to be, a systemic infection 3 weeks from now, but you won't be around to worry about it. That's where we're at. Well, he didn't actually say out loud he's going to bankrupt the United States because we already are bankrupt. Now, the reason I say that is because if you don't have enough money coming in to cover all of your costs for, let's say, I don't know, military spending, retirement, medical stuff. If you don't have enough money coming in to cover all of that, you can always borrow more, unless, of course, nobody wants to buy your IOUs, your bonds, in which case you have to offer more for those IOUs. Well, what do you mean offer more? Well, you're not going to offer 4%. Well, 4%? There was a time when the United States was paying 2%. Yeah. And then there was a time not too long ago when it was paying damn near 5%. So What's going to happen when we have to pay 7 or 8%? We're not going to inflate that away. That's going to kill us. So, no, nobody can recoup years of abuse in 4 years. Luckily for us, nobody's even trying at this point. Trump could care less about our debt. He's worried about not getting a golden pager at this point. He's not making decisions for himself, and he's not making decisions for the United States. I can't hear you. Well, that could be because you got your head up your butt. I don't know. Check. Does that look like a peephole? Because that could be your belly button. So, does Iran have the ability to take down our entire electrical grid? Oh, yeah. Like that. Really fast. Okay, but what about this? What's the current assessment of vulnerability to the U.S. power grid for cyber attacks overall? Not just from them, but from the Chinese, from the Russians, Venezuela. I mean, anybody who hates us right now. They would have did it. Okay, Dennis, you haven't been watching for the last few months, obviously. The United States power grid is increasingly vulnerable to cyber attacks with the potential for widespread outages due to sophisticated threats from foreign nations, criminal groups, and emerging technologies. Susceptibility points are growing by approximately 60 a day. 60 new points of vulnerability in our grid every single day. Well, there's only 23 to 24,000 of them total, though. Why have they not? Because we haven't done it to them yet. See, have you noticed that every time we incrementally do something, they increase what they're doing too? The reason that they're doing it that way is because they don't want to give us an excuse to go full tilt boogie. So they're saying, okay, well, you did this, we'll match it. Oh, you did this? Okay, we'll match it. Oh, okay, you're going to put a blockade and the UAE is going to accept missiles from Israel? Well, then that makes them an Israeli ally. Okay, well, we're going to blow up one of their oil refineries. Oh, now nobody wants to play with the United States or Israel. Saudi Arabia said, you ain't using our air bases, and you're not flying over our country because we don't want Iran to think that we're in bed with Israel. Okay, well, it worked. It fucking worked, didn't it? Yeah, well, what about our old friends Kuwait? I mean, hell, we saved them from Saddam Hussein back in 1990, right? Nope, not allowed to use the air base there either. You see, the problem is that all of these Sunnis may hate the Shia, but they fear Iran. They're scared shitless because they haven't taken this shit very seriously. They don't have the missile defenses they need. So could you take out all of Saudi Arabia's oil refining capability in one day? Abso-fucking-lutely. No question in anyone's mind that is on the table. Well, but does Iran have the ability left? Yeah, the last assessment, this is from the DOD. The last assessment is they've still got 70% of their missiles and more than that of their drones. This is what I do for a living. O'Leary's massive AI building and others are going to kill the power grids in the United States. No, they're not. AI and all these data centers, their time is very limited. People are starting to wake up to the fact that, hey, my pension was put into Anthropic or whoever, OpenAI, and they're not making shit. Well, I mean, there's always AI plus robots. That's going to take over everybody's job, right? No, absolutely not. This is exactly like the year 2000. Well, I used to be a certified financial planner, stockbroker. I've been in precious metals for 30 years. I've owned several companies of my own. They are going on the stock exchange. Yeah, that doesn't mean they're going to make any money. See, that's the problem. Remember back in the dot-com bubble, everybody was like, hey man, if you got a .com like pets.com, you're going to make $1 billion overnight. Remember WorldCom? Yeah, WorldCom was going to put fiber optic everywhere. They literally put in 100 times more fiber optic cable than we needed, and then they didn't make any money on it. Well, I mean, great, we've got fiber optic everywhere. I got fucking fiber optic everywhere, but you didn't make any money. Well, yeah, we kind of oversold that a little to the investors. Oh, well, what about AI? Well, no, AI is different. AI is going to fix everything. AI is going to do everything. Like everything. Oh, okay. Can you make a video with it? Well, yeah, everybody's making videos with it. Okay, are the videos good? Well, no, they suck. Okay, but can you tell they're AI? Fuck yeah, you can tell they're AI a mile away. Oh, well, can you fake a paper if you're in high school? Oh yeah, it can help you write your English paper. But then guess what? Your professor can run it through an AI detector and you're popped. You're done. So what is it good for, really? Clever discourse. That's it. And so, the UFO, I am absolutely convinced that all this UFO bullshit is a distraction from Epstein. Absolutely. Now, do I get the war? I totally understand the war. I totally understand the Monroe Doctrine. I totally understand taking Venezuela. Was taking Venezuela an evil, demonic fucking move? Absolutely. But that's what governments are in their very nature. There's no such thing as a good government. 250 years, rah, rah, don't tread on me, America, great, fucking bullshit. No such thing as a good government anywhere in history ever, except maybe the Greeks. And the Romans stomped the shit out of them and then completely changed the game. Went from free thinking is what God put us on this planet for to you will follow your emperor. And that's what stuck. That's it. Yeah, plantations. It's a good point. And we all work for one or another. So, when you look at the United States of America, is it good for us that we went in there and we slapped the shit out of Maduro and took away an entire country's wealth? Yeah, it's good for us. You want to drive a big fucking dually diesel? Well, then don't worry about morals and ethics. Fuck what Christ said about being kind to people. Yeah, they had something we wanted and we went and took it from them. Well, what about the excuse? How does taking their oil supply and all of their gold have anything to do with fentanyl, which, by the way, all the chemical precursors are made in China and they're all put together in Mexico and imported from Mexico. All of them. Everybody knows that. We've all known that for 20 years. There's no mystery to that. So all of a sudden, oh no, it's Nicaragua. Oh no, wait, it's El Salvador. Oh, it's Colombia. No, those guys don't have. Ooh, who's got the largest oil supply in the world? Literally in the whole fucking world. Well, Venezuela. That guy's kind of a dick, right? That guy's a dick. Oh, who? Maduro. He's a dick. Oh, well, he's like, super hardcore fundamentalist Catholic guy. He doesn't allow usury. He doesn't allow abortion. You can't be transgender. I mean, they're pretty conservative. They're like MAGA people down there. Fuck MAGA, we're stealing their oil. That's what the MAGA people said. The MAGA people said, fuck MAGA, we're stealing their oil. Okay. Hey, look, there's nothing I can do about it. When Smedley Butler retired from the United States Marine Corps as the commandant of the Marine Corps after winning two Medals of Honor. You don't win 2 Medals of Honor. You might win one posthumously after you get killed doing it, but you don't get 2. He got 2. And then he wrote a book called War is a Racket. And he listed all the places that the Marines went in the late 1800s and early 1900s when he was in, and connected it all to big major United States corporations. like United Fruit. Or in the case of Iran, hey, they elected a president, and we said, wait a minute. British Petroleum went in and said, hey, we're gonna get your oil from you, right? And he said, yeah, well, I mean, you got to pay for it because it belongs to the people. And they said, whoa, no, no, no. You don't understand how it works there, towelhead. We take your oil. And he said, no, you don't. And the next thing you know, there's a coup. And then the Shah of Iran gets it put in. And the Shah of Iran says, okay, anybody who disagrees with me, it could just be over something small, like where I misplaced my Phillips head screwdriver. I've got secret police that are going to torture you to death. And that's what they went through from the 50s all the way until almost 1980. We created the regime that's there now. But then again, we also created ISIS. We also created, let's see, who else? We haven't perfected it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in right now. Because you are a very, very, very up shit creek unless you're very wealthy or you've got a lot of these little babies right here. And these, obviously, when I'm saying that, I'm talking about these. Yeah, these little shinies right here. If you've got a bunch of those, guess what? You're fine. No problems. If you don't, I certainly pray that you don't have a bunch of this crap. Because if you have these, woo, you are fucked. You're so screwed, it's not even funny. Well, yes, in a way, Jules, you have to have this if you want this to multiply itself. Because I'll give you an example. Okay, I got $4 here, right? That's not a lot of money, is it? Well, guess what? Next year, it'll buy $3 worth, and the year after that, it'll buy $2 worth. And the reason I'm saying that is because inflation. Oh, well, so if you had $1 million in 1970, that's a lot of money. How much would you have to have now to make that the same equivalent? Well, now, if you wanted to have the same amount of wealth that you had in 1970 with $1 million, you'd have to have 8.5 million. Whoa, that's a big difference. I mean, 1970, that's a lot of people's lifetimes. That's, it's not like you got to be a Civil War soldier to remember that. Like 1970. That's what, 56 years? Okay, so, well, what about 2000? Well, in 2000, you could buy a house for $189,000. That's what they cost, $189,000. Now it's $405,000. Back then, you could buy the average consumer car for $22,000. Now it's $50,000. The average weekly salary was $327. Now it's $372. Whoa, wait a minute. That didn't quadruple. No, it didn't quadruple. It didn't even double. Over the last 26 years, it's gone up 11%. Now, the question you got to ask yourself is, if everything costs so much more money and nobody's making any more money, where's all this wealth disappearing to? Because it's not ours anymore. Well, there are 18,500 people in the United States that control 89% of the wealth and assets of this country. That's it. 18,000. So if you're not one of that 18,500, you only have a couple options. You can't go to work for somebody else ever, period. You cannot go to work for someone else. So what are you going to do? Well, I know a kid who started doing HVAC. He owned his own company after his first year. He started a company and he only had a couple guys working for him, but after 5 years, he's retired. Sold his company for $1.5 million and decided that was enough. He'd already paid off his house and he's going to live very quietly. Okay, well, you know what? Good luck. He'll probably pull it off. But my point is that if you don't own your own company, if you're not starting your own business and then investing that money in something that will make you money, you're screwed. I mean, you're screwed. Period. Last year, the United States government said, and this is again, there are certain things that you can trust them on, and certain things you can absolutely not trust them on. Okay, if it's in their best interest to lie to you, they will lie to you. So I'll give you an example. Does Iran have a nuclear weapon? Almost. We're 2 weeks away. Well, how 2 weeks away are we? Well, we're more 2 weeks away than we were 20 years ago. What? Well, 20 years ago, they were just a few weeks away. Oh, okay, but now they're a few weeks away? Yeah, they're still, 2 weeks away. Okay, but how are they 2 weeks away now? Well, it's a long story, but they're always 2 weeks away. And the reason that they're 2 weeks away is the same reason that after 9/11, we had the color coding system, and those color codes were never green. Ever, never, never green. They were always yellow or orange, or God forbid, they'd go to red once in a while. There's an imminent attack somewhere. Okay, where? We're not really sure, but just be on guard. I mean, look at the United Kingdom, utterly fucking insane. Facility bombing or propaganda? Facility bombing. I don't know what you mean by that. By the way, when I say it's utterly insane in basically all of Europe, you know, a lady gets arrested for praying quietly outside of an abortion clinic, not praying out loud, just standing there like this, praying. They arrested her. In Iran, facility bombing or propaganda? I don't understand. What do you mean? What facility? Natanz? Natanz is, first we destroyed their centrifuges in 2016. Actually, it was before that, I believe. But first we destroyed their centrifuges with Stuxnet, which we told Israel we were going to use in conjunction with them, and then they took it and screwed it up. So we destroyed their centrifuges, but in doing so, because Israel handled it and they fucked it up, everybody in the world knew it was the United States and Israel that had done it. So then Iran had a real reason to redouble their efforts for a nuclear program and for raising a lot more money for cyber security. And that's when their cybersecurity went from defensive to offensive. Now they have a defensive system and a very offensive cyber command as well. So is that what you're talking about? I mean, fake news. You got to be a little bit more specific than that. I mean, everything's fake news. Yeah, the reality is that whenever you let Israel talk about Iran, they're 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon, at most, and they hate America, which is actually not true. That's funny. They actually hate Israel, and they don't even hate all of the people in Israel. They just hate the government. Yeah, well, I think that all of the news is fake. If you think it's just the left leaning, really? So Fox has been talking about how we've won the war every day for the last month and a half. We won. Today it's over. We won. Okay, why are we shooting? Well, it's complicated. It's just love taps. Okay, love taps. So when they are launching missiles at U.S. Navy destroyers, they're not trying to hit us. They're just keeping us on our toes. They actually heard some radio chatter that the guys on the destroyers were bored. They didn't have anything to do. Ran out of ice cream. The Navy does run out of ice cream once in a while, not very often, fat bastards. But anyway, That's not my point. My point is that um, they were just trying to have fun. That's all. It's all in good fun. Iran's attitude is go fuck yourself now. That's it. That's their attitude. And anybody who says, "Oh well, yeah, we're negotiating," we're not negotiating. They said, "Here's the bottom line," and we said, "Well, take a look at our plan." And they said, here's the bottom line." We said, "No, you should look at our program." And they said, "Why don't you send a couple of Jewish people over here who are Zionists who believe in the Greater Israel Project and hate us?" "Oh, well, yeah, we're going to do that." "Oh, really?" So Jared Kushner, whose daddy had Netanyahu come over and stay at his house whenever he was in town. "Hey, if you're going to be in New York, you should come over and crash at our pad, buddy." "Oh, yeah, I fucking trust a Kushner. I don't trust any of the Kushners." Well, his father actually did time in prison, rightfully so. But, Jared Kushner is the absolutely perfect example of a soulless automaton. He could care less. He's already talking. I mean, when I saw him talking about how they're going to make Gaza beautiful, how this is a real opportunity. Now that they got rid of that vermin that used to occupy the place, those, especially the little ones, the little rats, the 8 and 10-year-olds, man, they're so much harder to hit, even if you're a good sniper. They move very quick. But now that they've gotten rid of all of those disgusting little things, and forced out all the Christians and blown up the churches and whatnot, now they can make Gaza perfect. It's like, this is not really happening in real time, is it? Like, isn't there somebody somewhere in the world that's supposed to just be able to wipe you off the face of the earth for talking like that? Nope. That's not how it works. No, sirree. Bad people get to have great lives. Well, my background is just being a grunt in the Marine Corps. 0351 anti-tank assault and demolitions, and I became a master combat swimmer. Did a little time as NBC officer, nuclear, biological, and chemical, but mostly just being a grunt, But it kind of gave me a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the world. If nothing else, I joined because I wanted to go fight bad guys, because Reagan was the president, and Reagan said that there were evildoers out there, although that was technically Bush's language. But yeah, Reagan said that there were evil people out there. Oh, my pleasure. And then, of course, I got a personalized letter from the president himself saying, "Hey, you scored in the top percent of all 17-year-olds in the United States." And I thought, wow, that's cool. Well, when I get out of high school, I'm going to join the Air Force probably. But then my dad had this love affair with vodka. He got drunk one night and decided to kick my ass. And at 17, I just turned 17. I decided, nope, not going to let him do it anymore. So I never hit him. I wouldn't hit my dad. You don't hit your elders. However, I did make sure that he didn't hit me, and that pissed him off. So he said, "You get to go into the Marine Corps or the Navy." I think actually he didn't even give me the choice. He said the Navy. So I brought the Marine Corps recruiter home the next day. Just as one little poke in the eye. NBC NCO for Fox 27. Oh, in 83 and 84. Then you guys were at camp. Was it Horno? A buddy of mine went to Fox 27. Who did you say you were with? Oh, it was Fox 27. Okay. God, what was his last name? Super cool guy. Dooley. Was it? Yeah, it was Dooley. he was in boot camp with me, and we used to, when we'd have fire watch, we'd sit and watch the airplanes. Oh, San Mateo, okay, right, center of, right in the middle of Pendleton, like halfway up. Yeah, Horno was, what was Horno? Oh, Horno was artillery, I think. That was over by the ocean. You remember tall blonde guy, super cool. Well, maybe light brown hair, but Dooley was so freaking cool. We used to sit there and we'd watch airplanes taking off from San Diego while we were in boot camp. We'd be on fire watch in the middle of the night, and I go, "Where do you think they're going, man?" He'd go, "Hawaii." You know, I want to go to Hawaii. You go, "Yeah, I want to go to Hawaii." And then we'd walk over and we'd look down. I go, "You know, if we jump from this, because we're in the third floor, you know, if we jump from this height, probably just break a leg or something, right? They'd have to discharge us." He'd laugh. He'd go, "Yeah, absolutely." "Nah, tomorrow." And he'd go, "Yeah, tomorrow." We'd keep doing fire watch. We must have done that. We probably did that 10 times over the course of 13 weeks. Oh, God, that was hilarious. Dooley. God damn, I haven't remembered his name since then. Yeah, he went up to 27 and I went to 33 area, Margarita. Oh, man. The marsh and the sand fleas. Sand fleas. Yeah, the sand fleas were something else. Although by 83 they had stopped doing quite the same amount of insanity that they did back in the 60s after they drowned all those guys on accident. What was that? That was like, I want to say that was in the late 60s that drill instructor actually, some gung-ho dipshit, actually drowned a few of his recruits out in the swamp or in the marsh or whatever it was, and got in a lot of trouble over that. But they probably had it coming. They should have joined the Air Force. So yeah, Dooley, what a cool guy. Yeah, it's funny because Dooley was tall. I mean, I remember he must have been, I think he must have been like 6'2", 6'3", because I'm 6'7", and I was way, way taller than a lot of the guys. I think there's only one guy in my entire company that was almost as tall as I was. Ugly son of a bitch. God, he was ugly. And the best part was when my parents came for graduation and we rolled out onto the tarmac and we were doing our parade all the way around and eyes right. And they took pictures. My mom took pictures of somebody else. They took pictures of this other guy who I thought looked absolutely horrible, but they couldn't, they walked right past me. After graduation, I see him and I waved to him and they looked at me and then they looked over at this other guy and they started walking towards him. And I was like, "Where are you guys going?" They had no idea it was me. That's what happens when you lose 76 pounds in 13 weeks. It was a lot. It was a lot of weight. No, man, that would be so awesome. Yeah, I just saw Hannah Barron, who's one of the hottest women on planet freaking Earth. God, she's so hot. She's some little Southern gal who, likes what do they call it, noodling, going out and catching humongous freaking catfish with her hands. Anyway, that's what she got famous for on TikTok. And then, but I think she got even more famous for the fact that she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and she's just a cool country girl. Not one of those girls that goes ooh when she sees a worm or something. It's like, this is a tough little chick, and she happens to be good looking. So, but she got to ride in. It was a 16 because it was it was the Thunderbirds. It was really cool. She just got to do it. And by the way, she went out big time. They pulled a 10G. He pulled a 10G turn, and he told her to breathe. And 10 Gs. If you're not wearing pressure pants, if you're not wearing a pressure suit, and if you haven't gone through the training for months on how to breathe and squeeze your legs and squeeze all the muscles in your legs as tight as you can to try to push blood up into your brain, you're going out. Fucking no doubt about it. And so she's like, okay, she's got it, got it, got it. And then boom, she was out. That's just the way it is though. Yeah, what a cool little girl, man. I always joke if she were 30 years older, I'd marry her. Yeah, I almost wrecked my fucking car last time I drove out to San Diego. Halfway to San Diego in the middle of the desert, I got the windows down. It's like 95 degrees, but it's different when it's that dry and it's 95 degrees and the wind's whipping around. It feels good. It's a cool feeling. It's not like Louisiana where the swamp actually like sticks to you. So had the windows down, cruising along, just hauling ass, probably going way over the speed limit, and just engulfed in this huge roar. And I looked down underneath the obviously I don't fit in most cars. So I looked down so I could see underneath the roof, and the Blue Angels went overhead in formation, middle of fucking nowhere, like literally the middle of nowhere, out by El Centro, California. And they just went out there. They were just practicing, just doing their thing. But man, I almost wrecked my car because I was trying to watch them and do 90. You can only do one of those two things usually. By the way, I asked AI. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I want to stress this. I asked AI what percentage of the United States electrical grid is hardened against EMP or solar flares. And it said, based on a 2026 assessment, a negligible percent of the United States electrical grid is fully hardened against a high altitude electromagnetic pulse or severe solar flare. That's not good. Exactly. So current state of grid hardening, just not much. And the specific risk, get this, the specific risk is to high voltage transformers from 500 kilovolts to 750 kilovolts. They are considered high risk. And many of these are not currently hardened. Whew. Some experts suggest that hardening as little as 10% of the grid could act as a vital lifeline to recovery. The reason that they say that is because if you don't have any of the grid hardened at all, you start back in the 1600s. All right. Grid hardening in case of nuclear war paid for by customers. Great idea. There are several different ways. Number one, you can have what are they called? The circuits. The way that the circuits, basically breakers that are designed for extremely high voltage, and when they sense extremely high voltage coming down the line, they disconnect. So they're designed to die first before the grid does. The problem is we really don't know what the sun can do. Until just recently, we thought basically, an X40 was as big as it gets. The Carrington event of 1859 was massive. Well, not at all. It turns out that there are regularly X100s, and from time to time there are X1000s. Now, an X1000 is not a micronova, and a micronova didn't exist 20 years ago. There was no such term, period. When Ben Davidson and a few other researchers started using the term micronova, and I found out about it 10 years ago. Oh shit, it was a lot longer than that. It's 14 years ago. and I talked to NASA about it. They actually laughed at me. They said there's no such thing as a micronova. When when a star novas, it explodes and there's nothing left. And the reason they said that is because they had seen stars nova in the past. What they didn't realize is the stars that they saw go nova with their super duper high powered telescopes was that those super duper high powered telescopes were relatively new. And if they gave these novas another 10, 12, 15, 20 years, the dust cloud would start to dissipate and they'd see the star was still there. Oops. Well, now that's an interesting little development. What does that mean? That means that because the sun has so much more gravity than the rest of the entire solar system combined, the mass of the solar system is very simple. 99.6% of the mass of the solar system is the sun. 0.4% is Jupiter. Well, shit, what about all the other planets? No, they don't even matter. They're like 1/100th of 1%. It's negligible. So the sun is the mass of the solar system. And because of that, when anything drifts into the solar system, it usually gets sucked into the sun. Well, what we're learning that it doesn't necessarily sink into the center of the sun, because unlike everybody's prediction 50 years ago, which were all wrong, the sun is not made of gas. That's idiotic. It's completely idiotic to think that it's a gaseous planet. If it were gas, there'd never be any ripples on it. But you can see ripples on it when a huge coronal mass ejection goes out and doesn't quite reach escape velocity, and all those hundreds of trillions of tons fall back onto the sun. You can see ripples going out away from it like a stone into a pond. Well, then it's not gas. Fog doesn't ripple. Steam doesn't ripple. Okay, so it's a liquid of some kind, right? Well, once you get to a point where there's enough dust, because that's basically what it is, it's cosmic dust, cosmic debris built up on the outside of the sun on the inside is still doing its thing. It's still cooking. It's still got all that energy, except it's not able to expend all of the heat and all of the energy like it normally would. So over the course of thousands of years, or depending on how big it is, I mean, it could just be something like the Carrington event, although that was relatively small. But over the course of time, it gets completely covered and it just sneezes and blows off this entire shell. Now, that's something that appears to only happen every 6 and 12,000 years. Now, the reason I say 6 and 12, 6,000 times 2 is 12. Duh. It seems to be 6,000 years, it sneezes. 12,000 years, it explodes. Every 12,000 years, the sun seems to have a very fucking bad day. And when it does, it sends all of humanity back to the Stone Age. Not a little bit, a lot. And because there's so much radiation, so much energy coming from the sun, it seems to set off a lot of stuff on Earth. And when I say set off, I'm talking about things like earthquakes and volcanoes. When you hear the ancient myths of people from around the world, they all sound very, very, very similar, even though they have nothing to do with each other. I'll give you an example. Norse mythology, Odin has this ability to tame all of these different monstrous things like the ocean, which is completely out of control, and the mountains and the earth itself, which won't stop shaking, and he tames all of that. Well, Zeus does the same thing to the Titans. So you've got the Kraken and you've got all these different things that basically demonstrate that the earth was shaking, volcanoes were going off, the sky was splitting with lightning. Yeah, all that. All that shit would happen. But luckily, it only happens every 12,000 years. Unluckily for us, when it does happen, it seems to basically erase whatever society was there. So, is there a society that goes back 12,000 years? Well, we didn't think there was, but now there is. And when I say we, archaeology. I've always thought that things like the pyramids are much much older than they give them credit for. I believe that there were societies that were around 30, 40, 50,000 years ago. And the reason I believe that is because we found that there are remains of fully modern humans that go back 290,000 years. Well, if you're telling me that for 285,000 of those 290,000 years, we just sat around and picked our ass and ate lizards and fornicated in caves and nothing else. Nothing else. No art, no form of communication, nothing. I'm not buying that shit at all. However, I do believe that the earth is a very active system. And when you just look back over the last couple thousand years, you see big earthquakes and you see, big tidal waves and big volcanoes. And it's like, okay, so we live in a pretty active little planet. Was there anything that makes it more active? Yeah, actually, it looks like increased radiation from the sun actually does increase the amount of stuff going on beneath our feet. Why would that work? Well, because we soak up a lot of that energy as a planet. And what's under your feet? I mean, we don't think about it much because, it's like, it's solid. It's not really solid. And it's like an orange. There's a peel, thin layer of dirt and rock. But what's below that? Looks like it's all molten, like it's just lava. The whole damn center of it's lava. Shit, that's not very stable. No, and if you heat it up, will it move around? Could you make it boil? Could you make it do something? Yeah, you probably could. Would that affect the surface? Yeah. What if you could make it do something crazy like the North Pole just pops out at the South Pole and vice versa? Like the whole Earth just flips over. Oh yeah, that happens. That happens? Yep, it sure does. Okay, but does the planet flip over, or is it just the sort of electro dynamo inside that, like the core magnetism, just flips over? But the core itself doesn't move. We have no idea at all. None. At all. But glad you asked. See, way up here around the top of the earth, it's cold. It's very cold. As a matter of fact, this is what people in the South would call freeze your balls off cold. And interestingly, way up here in the northern part of Siberia, we have found mammoths. Okay, well, you know what? A mammoth was a big ass elephant, and they could survive the cold. They actually could because they were woolly. But here's the odd thing about these woolly mammoths that we found way up here near the North Pole. They still had buttercups. Now, a buttercup is a cute little flower. I like buttercups. Everybody likes buttercups. They're beautiful. They were eating buttercups when they froze to death. Well, now, if the climate just changed slowly over time, not because of man this time, but just naturally, um, and then all of a sudden the elephants up here wanted to get a subtropical plant, they'd have to go down here and eat it and then come home. Well, they were up here and they were eating subtropical flowers and they froze to death. Now, what does it take to freeze to death a 16,000-pound animal so fast that it doesn't rot, that the stomach gases in its stomach don't explode, that the flowers in its mouth and in its stomach are still there thousands of years later? You'd have to freeze that damn thing pretty quick. Like, it would have to get extremely cold. So, how could this not have been cold, though? Look where it's at. That's way up here by the North Pole. So, at some point, this wasn't covered with ice most of the year, and it didn't get down to 100 degrees below zero like it does now. So, what changed? Well, clearly, if it were here at the equator, it wouldn't. You wouldn't have to worry about that. The problem is, if the Earth did tilt, and it looks like it may have, if the Earth did tilt, if you've ever taken a tub full of water and slid it, when you slide it, it sloshes, and when you stop, it sloshes back and forth. That's precisely what all of the oceans would have done if the Earth had turned over. Now, if the Earth had turned over slowly over the course of, say, days, all right, so let's say, how far is the North Pole from the equator? It's like 3,000 miles, something like that, 4,000 miles. Okay, well, if it's 3,000 miles, let's just use that as sort of the idea. If it took a month for the Earth to turn over, then at some point the oceans would start to react. They'd want to stay where they are initially, so they might slosh out of their basins a little bit. What would that look like? Well, if the ocean sloshed back and forth a little bit, maybe some tsunamis that are a couple hundred feet high. A couple hundred feet, that's not catastrophic. No, it wouldn't be catastrophic at all. It would be a slow sea level rise in areas that you wouldn't expect it. Then over the course of time, like a month later, when you stopped moving, then obviously it would slosh back the other direction. And then it would slosh back again. So you might want to stay away from the ocean for a while, but would that be a big like instant change? No. Oh, candle in the dark. I've been studying this for 15 years. And I love it when people as ignorant as you jump on here and go, you don't know what you're talking about. What would you like to talk to me about? What do you think you know that I don't already know? You want to throw out a name and I can tell you about what they wrote, what they said, how it plays into this? You're going to tell me about Chan Thomas or something like that? Because Chan Thomas and the story of Adam and Eve that was classified by the CIA back in 1965, I've read it. Total horseshit. It's not going to happen like that. You're not going to have 1,000 mile an hour winds scouring the entire planet and all that bullshit. Now, if you're saying that the planet just doesn't move, then all you have to do is explain how you get tropical plants in northern Siberia. "50 years DA." Does that stand for dumbass? Is that how long you've been alive? What's the point? What is 50 years? Well, there's unfortunately, unfortunately, there's a lot of evidence, and that's the part that sucks. Is we don't really know because there's nobody that would have been there to see this that left any records. Because even give me an example, Rongo Rongo. Okay, the hell is Rongo Rongo? Well, Rongo Rongo is a script from Easter Island. Okay, Easter Island obviously is where the big moai are. Well, okay, so what do we know about Easter Island and Rongo Rongo? Well, we know that there's nobody alive that can read that shit. We know that that was their language and it was pictographic. So, okay, basically it's like hieroglyphics, and it tells a story. Well, road plans are a whole other thing, and yes, if you're talking about Velikovsky, planets in collision, yes, read that too. That's what I do for a living. So, um, actually, it's not what I do for a living; it's what I do for fun. But I've been doing it for a long time. So, but the idea that Rongo Rongo is a script that we can't read. Well, why can't we read it? Well, because there's nobody alive to tell us how to read it. Well, but can't we break it some? I mean, come on. The fucking CIA's got supercomputers. We can use, like, we can figure out something like, okay, well, if there are X amount of the letter E in a sentence, so we can start with that. We can break it down. Can't do that. It's pictographic. We don't know. We don't know if every symbol is a sentence, or if every symbol is a word, or if every symbol is just a letter. Oh, well, shit. Well, why is there nobody left on Easter Island? Well, because we all saw the movie. We all heard the story. Because the dumb sons of bitches cut down all the trees so that they could roll their moai to where they could stand them up. Except the problem is that's 100% a lie. That never happened, and it's absolutely not true whatsoever. Oh, well, then why did they overforest their island and cut everything down and run themselves out of food? The short answer, they did not. There were lots of trees and lots of plants all over Easter Island. You know what there was none of, though? Not one single one? Predators. So when the Europeans landed and their rats got onto the island, they had a fucking field day. The rats literally overpopulated the island over the course of 30 years. Think about this. A female rat can have, let's find out. How many babies can a female rat have in 1 year? Jesus Christ, 15,000? Woo! 15,000 rats. Okay, so, and then if 15,000 of them breed, so let's just assume that half are men and half are ladies. So 7,500 times 15,000. What's 7,500 times 15,000? Jesus Christ. 112,500,000 rats. 2 years. Because there were no predators on the island. So they literally ate all of the palm seeds. They ate all of the palm trees that were little yearlings or whatever. They literally ate the island down to the ground. Now, is it true that these poor Easter Islanders were just a bunch of stupid fuckers who were trapped on this island, and because of that they all just died? No, as a matter of fact, the DNA evidence that was proven 10 years ago shows that Easter Islanders regularly traveled to South America to trade and make whoopee, because their DNA is all over coastal South America. They weren't trapped on that island. They just liked it there. And when they finally got to a point where there was no way to survive on the island, it was completely overrun with vermin, they said, it's time to go. So they left. The last of them got in their boats. There's about like 100 of them left now, but that's it. So needless to say, because we completely collapsed their society on accident, wasn't really our fault. I mean, our ships landed there, but the reality is, if we can't figure out what Rongo Rongo means, even though it's really, really similar to an ancient language from Pakistan, from the Indus-Savardi River Valley. What? Yeah, very similar. So could the people of Easter Island be from India and Pakistan? Don't know, because we can't read that language either. So the question then becomes, how do you know what happened 12,000 years ago? Well, because your mama and your dad had told you so. Okay, but what if they were wrong? What if they were wrong? We don't know. See, there are two things that keep me up at night. Worrying about the grid going down and not being able to have helped enough people, even though I can, because I have the knowledge. That keeps me up in a bad way. What keeps me up in a good way is the idea that we don't really know who we are. We are a species that is much older than we think. And we're haunted by these weird motifs that seem to be universal and nobody knows why. Why do we always talk about these huge disasters? Why is it we're always waiting for a cataclysm? Everybody's obsessed with the end of the world. Why? Because we've been there before. Well, I mean, the Old Testament is not my book. That's the Jewish book. And I think that Judaism is almost laughably stupid. But I'm not anti-Semitic, because I feel the same way about Islam. Their book is just hilariously idiotic. The only book that doesn't make me want to laugh and puke all at once is the one where the guy comes along and says, hey, everybody should love each other. Oh, wow. Oh, the release of these files. Hey, look over here. We've got UFOs. Don't talk about Epstein. Look, yeah, we've got some really, truly horrific monsters that run our country, that are in charge of our country right now. This guy Witkoff. I mean, how many times can you lie? Look, you live next door. You were on the other side of a wall from Epstein. You lived next door to him for years. I didn't know him though. No, not at all. Nope. I went to his island once. I just happened to be sailing by with my kids, and we stopped by for lunch. Oh, just stop by for lunch. Okay. Well, then it turns out that that's complete bullshit. That's a total lie. He knew Epstein really well. And by the way, the fact that the only day that he didn't show up for work on time was 9/11, and that 650 of his employees were killed in the Twin Towers, and that he kept the insurance money for himself, even though he was already a billionaire, that guy disgusts me. Absolutely disgusts me. But he's perfect for Jared Kushner. They're two peas in a pod. They're absolutely perfect for each other. They're soulless creatures who only want more power and more money. All right, whatever. So the New Testament, I believe some of. What's there to focus on? I mean, look, I have two theories about this. Number one, if they're here, you're never going to know it. Do the ants in your backyard know that you built a house next to their world? They don't. And, you know, why would they care? And how could you communicate with them if you did go out there, let's just say tomorrow morning, lay down on the sidewalk and start talking to all the bugs in your backyard? They don't understand you. Now, is that because they're stupid? No, it's because they're the life form itself has developed a completely different thing. Dogs see with their nose. Well, do they have eyes? Yeah, of course they have eyes. Can they walk right past you and not recognize you? Sometimes, until they get a whiff of you when they walk by. And then it's like, oh shit, who did I just walk past? Yeah. That's not the way humans work, but that's the way dogs work. What about bats? Their eyesight's shit. But if you're a mosquito and you're flying in the dark, they will find your ass and they will eat you. What? Just by yelling? Hey. Oh, I see him. Hey. It's like, whoa. Dolphins have a range of vocalizations that are something along the order of 300 times what the human ear can pick up. So all of that we can't hear. It's just this little part that we can hear, the eat, 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 that part. But that's not what you're saying. That's like everything I've said since I've been on this live stream. The only thing that you can hear is the letter S. So if they're here, can we communicate with them? Do they want to communicate with us? Would you? If you were that advanced, what the fuck would you want to talk to us for? Right now, we've come to the point where we are on the edge of being an interstellar civilization. We're this close away from being interstellar, going out into the universe, leaving this rock and going out there and becoming part of the cosmic life system. But instead, we've got nuclear fucking power. We're turning it into bombs and pointing it at ourselves. That's how fucking stupid this species is. That's how completely, unbelievably dumb humans are. What's our common goal? Common goal? Yeah, what's our common goal as a species? We don't have one. Yeah, we do. Fuck each other over. What? Yeah. Yeah, it's our common goal. Oh, there's a few of those Fruit Loopy Jesus Christ types or Buddhists or Hare Krishnas that are like, oh, let's be nice to each other. Fuck you, dude. Go fucking grow your hair down to your ass and have some granola. Microbiotic tofu chili, dipshit. I'm going to fuck my neighbor over and steal his wife, and then I'm hopefully get his car too in the divorce settlement. It's like, what? What are we doing? Doesn't anybody want to do anything? I mean, yeah, we want to eat stuff that tastes good and we want to watch TV. Okay. Well, geez. Okay. That makes us perfect for a zoo, you know? I mean, when you look at the tigers in the zoo, you're like, God damn, I feel bad for them. You know? It's like you just feel sad because they just pace around like, God damn, I wish somebody would drop a gazelle in here once in a while. Nope. You don't get to live out your best life, brother. You're an ambassador and you got to be in this jail cell forever. Well, that sucks. Yeah. But think about this. Take the average guy and his wife. It's the average American. Shit, the average Italian, the average Frenchman. You put them in a zoo, right? But you put them in a nice enclosure, right? You give them a 85-inch 8K TV. Fuck 4K, that's for peasants. An 8K TV. give him maybe some porn, give her some antidepressants. Make sure that you feed them, whatever. Just vary their diet up. Keep their diet changed up a lot. And yeah, you're good. They'll sit in that. They'll sit in that enclosure for the rest of their lives. Every once in a while, they'll wander over to the glass and they'll stare out, and they'll probably feel super bad for all those people that have to walk all the way around the zoo. But that's about it, you know. So, and by the way, those same dumb animals, some of them have access to nuclear weapons right now. But mammals have one thing going for them. We may not be very bright, but we do have a strong will to live for the most part. Like, most of us don't want to die for no reason. And that's good. There's a God-given talent that we can all rely on. That's why we don't have to worry too much about nuclear weapons. Because the only people who really want to use nuclear weapons are people who have nothing left to live for. Nothing whatsoever. Well, who's that? I don't know. I suppose if I grew up working in a nickel mine in Africa, I wouldn't have much to live for. Well, yeah, but even they have hope. And they go to work every day, and they hope that someday it's going to get better. So who doesn't have hope? I guess the only people that don't have hope are people whose families you've killed. Yeah. Anybody that has nothing left to live for is extraordinarily dangerous. That's why, the old saying with nukes is that you're not worried about a country that's got 1,000 nukes. You're worried about a madman that's got one. Well, what makes him a madman? I mean, come on. Let's be honest. What makes somebody so driven, so ingenious that they could somehow get their hands on a nuke and want to die doing it? You've got to do something so unbelievably terrible to that person that it's hard to imagine. Cuba's a perfect example. Well, I'll bet they wish they had nukes right now because of the way we're treating them. Those are humans, but they're not really humans. They're, whatever, they're Hispanic or they're brownish. And that's the way we look at it. That's the way the State Department looks at it. Now, I can tell you that I've been around a lot of Cubans when I lived in Florida, and they're fucking cool people, really cool people. Yeah, but it's just Cuba. It's like, okay, but those are people. Like, they're children too. And Christians are taught a couple things, actually. I mean, if you actually read any of the New Testament, Jesus seems to be very specific about a couple things. Love thy neighbor, number one. And number two, of all the people that you have to love, children are the most important, period. He says that. No, I haven't been to Cuba yet, but I will someday for sure. Hopefully it won't take too long, because I'd like to go there to help rebuild it. I know that they might be a little bit leery about Americans, but I'd like to show them the other side of it, which is not all of us want to destroy everybody else's country in order to make ours greater, which really sucks. It really sucks. But look, what we're doing right now, what we're doing at this moment makes perfect sense from the standpoint of logistics. Like, if you take the humanity out of it, we're consolidating the Western world. We're saying, Canada, you're a bitch. Shut up. Complain all you want. We don't care. If we have to, we'll come and get you. But you're ours. Greenland, you say whatever you want, but we defended you in World War II, and we want you. So Denmark, kiss our ass. Colombia, your days are numbered. You will be part of the United States in one way or another. If you're just a protectorate, that's fine. You can be like Puerto Rico, but you're going to be ours. And Mexico, talk all the shit you want. Your drug lords are safe. Our CIA makes way too much money on that shit. So keep doing whatever you're doing. Fentanyl, we don't care about it. It only affects brown people and stupid white people. So we don't care. And we never have. We've never cared about the drugs coming across the border. Otherwise, we'd stop it. But we don't stop it, even though we could. I mean, it's obvious. When you do the homework, you find out that no, it's obvious. We know who's bringing them across. We know when and how they're being brought across. We just don't care. Little Havana, cool place. Very cool place. Best sandwiches ever. Damn. Something about first time I had a Cuban sandwich. Whoa, changed my life. So, the reality is that we're in this really weird situation where we're going to take over the Western world. Peru, Chile. We've already got boots on the ground in Uruguay. No, excuse me, Ecuador. We just put boots on the ground in Ecuador, one of the largest drug smuggling countries in the world. A lot of news agencies have reported that the guy who's now president, his family was one of the largest drug smugglers. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what several major news agencies have said. So maybe it's true. So we've got boots on the ground in South America already, and we'll have a lot more. Bottom line is we're carving up the world. We're carving up the world. That's it. If China and Russia and Iran, if they want to do business, that's fine. We're not going to allow them to do business with BRICS. That's not going to happen. We will force them to use the American dollar, even if they don't want to. And so, we'll take care of that. That's something that the CIA is very good at. The CIA can't build much, and they don't help people ever. But boy, they can destroy shit faster than you can imagine. So the BRICS nations will make sure that falls apart. Although it's a very, very dangerous idea they have. The idea of backing a currency with gold. Man, if they pull that off, and it's a big if, but if they pull that off, if they can actually have a trading system that is backed by precious metals, then the petrodollar will disappear overnight. The American dollar will fail completely, almost overnight, because nobody wants this crap anymore. Look, who believes in this? Nobody. Nobody believes in it. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants it. But we're forced to at the end of a gun. This is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So right there. Well, what if I disagree? Well, we're going to have guys with bulletproof vests come and stick a Glock in your face. You will accept it. You will take American dollars for all debts, public and private. Oh, well, what if I want to use this instead? Well, no, you can't. See, that's the beautiful part. 23 states have now said, oh, no, we'll do that. What? Well, oh, yeah, that's right. States have rights, don't they? Yes, they do. The states do have rights. Do they have the right to make their own currency? Yep, they sure do. As long as it's gold or silver. So, wait, you're saying that this might actually be money somewhere? Oh, yeah, like in Utah. Absolutely. Tennessee just passed something that said that their treasury now has to hold gold and silver. Well, wait a minute. Their treasury, like the state treasury, can only hold gold and silver? Yep. So they don't have they don't have all their shit in BlackRock? Nope. They're not stupid. They said, BlackRock, Blackstone, State Street, Vanguard, You guys are playing some dangerous fucking games right now. And you know what? You're not going to win. I mean, you're going to always win because the government is controlled by your people. So you'll always get your money back. But the people who trusted you, who gave you their life savings, they're not getting their money back. Well, who are those people? Oh, state pension funds, firefighters, police. That's crazy. That's total craziness. Yeah, but it happens all the time. What? People lose their pension funds all the time. Look, an IRA is not guaranteed. We all know that. Okay, but what if you buy bonds? Well, okay, then you're guaranteed 4%. Oh, I'm sorry. You've got to pay taxes on the money that you make. Okay, so you could take 30% off, 28% off the top. Okay, so what? Well, then what you're left with, if inflation is at 3.5%, which it is right now and has been for the last 20 years, well, then if you're making 4%, you're paying taxes on the 4% as capital gains, then you're not netting 4%. You're netting probably like 2.8%. But then your cost of living is going up by 3.5%, and you're only making 2.8%. So your cost of living is going up faster than your retirement. So every dollar I'm putting in, I lose money. Yeah, every dollar you put in now, if you're 30, every dollar you put in now is going to be roughly 20 cents when you retire. Huh. That sucks. Yeah, it really does. Remember, in 1970, if you had $1 million adjusted for inflation, that's like having $8.5 million now. It's changed a lot. That's 850% difference. Think about that for a second. An 850% increase over 50 years. Over what? 56 years. If you had $1 million in this back in 1970, right now, it wouldn't be worth $8.5 million. It'd be worth $45 million. That's not just keeping up with inflation. Yeah, you might want to call me for sure. My number's in my bio up there. And yeah, I can help you stop losing money because, at this point, there's no choice. You don't have any choices. What about real estate? Are you watching real estate? Are you paying attention? I watch real estate every day. And I've been saying since 2022. 2022 is when I said, oh shit, this is going to be a hell of a bubble. And everybody's like, no, man, it's going to keep going like this forever. And I said, no, all these stimmies, this is going to make the market go completely nuts for a year or two. Well, actually, it went nuts for a little more than a year or two. It was like 3 years that it went nuts. And now it's beginning to completely collapse nationwide. Yeah, but what if the rates come down? Then everything's going to be fine. Really? Is that really true? $400,000 for the average home in the United States? Ain't buying it. Before COVID, the average home payment was $1,300 a month. And after COVID, it was $2,600. People can't buy houses. They can't buy houses. Well, if anybody lowers the rates, I can tell you this. Pray to God that you called me and bought some silver. Because lower rates are going to lead to an explosion in price. Look what happened last time. It's that simple. They lowered rates, they did stimmies, and look what happened to silver and gold. You want me to tell you what silver and gold were right before the pandemic, before all the stimmies? Yeah, I know you do. Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to say probably 14. But let's make sure. I don't want to get ahead of myself now. Let's be careful here. Okay, so we're at 80 right now. All right, so in 20, in 2019 it was 14. Like I said, 1450. So $14.50. So it's gone up almost 400%. So that's 40% a year, right? I mean, come on. For an old-fashioned, stupid, redneck way to invest, that's not bad, 40% a year, right? Considering that only old-timers and dumbasses buy precious metals. Shit, man. Pull your head out of your ass, bro. You got to go with the S&P 500 index. S&P 500 index is 500 big stocks. Now that's how you fucking retire. Oh, shit, it's only up 25% a year for the last 10 years. All right, Dow Jones, solid. The Dow Jones Industrial Index. That's been how people made millions of dollars for over 150 years. Fuck, that's even worse. That's 17% annually. Well, hopefully the NASDAQ will be better because, well, look at all the bullshit that's going on here. It's absolutely insane what's going on in the NASDAQ. Now, of course, the NASDAQ's going to blow up harder than any other index. That's weird. It doesn't even want to show me. What's going on? Where's my percentages? Well, that's weird. It doesn't really want to say. No, it's just easier for me to just buy it and sell it. Wow, there's a story you won't hear anymore. Retiring after 28 years with your employer. Be very, very, very careful with your retirement. Otherwise, you're going to be a greeter at Walmart for the rest of your life. Seriously, I'm not joking. I can't tell you how many people, I've seen this over and over again. You have to remember, I've got two things going for me that most people don't. Number one, I got into this business really young, right after the Marine Corps. I had a couple little goofy jobs doing, painting, and I tried car sales and realized I hate car salesmen. So then I decided, all right, you know what? I'm going to go be rich. Well, the 401k is what I worry about there, Buckeye. Be very careful of that 401k. Very careful, because the reality is that, right now, private equity is in deep shit. Like, there's a lot of stuff going. BlackRock just announced that they're taking a big loss on some of their stuff, and like, that's not supposed to happen. Like, BlackRock, what's going on here? Well, they've made massive investments in things like data centers. Okay, so data centers got to make money, right? Maybe. But what about AI? AI is going to be everywhere all the time. Like, AI is going to take over the world. Is it? Because I'm starting to smell a lot of bullshit. I'm starting to smell a half a dozen, maybe a dozen really, really powerful billionaire investors all singing the exact same tune and saying everybody should put their money in AI. AI is the future. Okay, well, what has that done? That's given them access to hundreds of billions of dollars of other people's money. that they don't have to risk their own money to build something like OpenAI. How much does Sam Altman have in that? Oh, he didn't put any money in it. He didn't have any money, but he's a billionaire. Well, I mean, he owns a big part of the company. As he goes public, he's going to be a billionaire. Okay, all right, kind of like Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg was one of the richest people in the world for a little while, and he took a company public called Facebook. And what was Facebook? Well, it's this amazing platform. And how much did it make? Well, I mean, back then it didn't make any money. How much does it make now? Well, not much, nothing, ever. What? Yeah. So we got some issues to work out. And that's the problem is everybody's like, oh, AI. So put your money in AI, man. Trust the science. Trust the science, huh? Where have I heard that before? And by the way, UFOs, they're not shiny enough to distract me. Hantavirus, oh, you put that shit to bed right now, because if you think that I'm going to believe this whole thing about, the hantavirus and the fact that literally I could have it, make out with my girlfriend or my wife for weeks, and she still doesn't get it because it's that hard to transfer, and it's a new pandemic. Oh my God, how? Well, everybody's got it now. Yeah, bullshit. No, you're not doing it. Look, fool me once, fool me twice. You know the story. No, I'm not buying it. Well, but this is the really rare Peruvian. What the fuck ever, man. Whatever. Bullshit. Look, I live in the Southwest. There's fucking hantavirus everywhere in the Southwest. Everywhere in New Mexico, everywhere in Utah, Arizona, Southern California, parts of Texas. It's fucking everywhere. Why? Because we've got rodents everywhere. Okay, so how many people die of hantavirus a year? 3, 10, something like that. Oh, but this is different. Yeah. How do you get all of those people exposed to rat shit? Well, this is the super rare stuff. Okay. Well, that's the problem. As far as I know, they don't have hantavirus in Africa. And for most people, I don't think they realize that 99.99% of it is in the southwestern United States. Now, we've been living with hantavirus in the United States for hundreds of years, but this is different. No, what this is a distraction. This is a distraction. If you want me to be distracted from Epstein, not going to happen. Not going to happen. This is too personal. Anybody who's a father, anybody who's a Christian, if you allow them to get away with this, you don't deserve this country. You don't deserve the United States. As fucked up as it might be right now, you still don't deserve it. You deserve to live in some place in Africa where the day you're born, you're strapped to your mom's back and she goes to work in a cobalt mine. That's what you deserve. Because this country, no, this is the best plan so far for a country. And if we fuck it up, it just shows that humans aren't ready, that humanity's not ready for individuals to be decision makers. Well, I know for some Hanta, it's as much as 50%, but again, it's extremely hard to get Hanta. Well, that'd be nice. The problem, of course, is that, look at Europe. They've got lots of parties. They got all kinds of parties, and what happens with all those parties? Well, they're all corrupted and infighting and arguing over stupid things. The only thing they can agree with is that if you're essayed or graped by somebody from Islam, that it's your fault, not theirs. It's just it's a cultural thing. You don't get it because you're just a stupid European. That's the only thing that they agree on over there. Yep, I heard 40 to 50% fatality rate. It's nasty shit. It really is. It's just it's extremely hard to get. That's it. You know, it's it's kind of like uh-oh. I just got look at that. I got restricted for bullying and harassment. I'm harassing the Epstein class, and they literally just restricted my view. Um, Massive celebrity blackmail scam. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. What it is a huge blackmail scam by Israel to make sure that what to them is no big deal. Look, culturally, messing around with kids says in the Talmud, it's nothing. It's no big deal. Okay? It is what it is. Like, why do you think the pedophiles that are Jewish run to Israel to escape being prosecuted in the United States? Because over there, it's not a big deal. Islam is the same way as Judaism. It's like, they're kids. So what? So what? Women are for making babies, boys are for fun. That's literally a saying in most of the Middle East. That's not misinformation. Ask any veteran who served over there in Iraq or Afghanistan, who was stationed in Oman or who was stationed in Kuwait or Bahrain or Qatar. They all know. Everybody knows. When my buddy just moved back from Israel a couple of years ago, he laughed about the fact that they grape each other, the kids in Palestine, all over the place, all the time. They'll just grab a kid and drag him into an alley. They all do it to each other, and it's like, what? That's disgusting. Yeah, well, it may be disgusting, but guess what? That's just normal. So when you're talking about bringing people over here where that's normal, okay, well, but it's not normal here. Yeah, but guess what? There's a lot of people that want to do it anyway. The congressmen, senators, people who grew up believing that they're special and that the rules don't apply to them. Oh, all right. So what does that mean? Well, that means that they're going to be into a lot of things that nobody else is into. And by the way, a lot of those things, it's the age of porn. It's not a big deal. But there are a couple things that are still taboo. And guess what? If you can get them on videotape doing those things, you own them for life. Now, why would you not want the Epstein files to be released? Well, we can't expose these people. No, that's not why. Because once you expose them, you don't own them anymore. Once their names come out into the public eye and everybody sees who they are and demands punishment, it's over. You have no control over them anymore. Right now, you have ultimate control over them. Look, bro, I'm trying to save your ass here, but you got to do what help me help you. That's what these people need you to do. And if you can do that, they're assuring me that your name will never come up in any of these hearings. But you got to do this for us. Okay, that's exactly how it works. Your congressman, your senator, probably one of them, they are owned. They're owned. And why? Well, because they thought they were special. They thought they could get away with something that's illegal in the United States. Oh, is that why they went to the island to do it? Probably. That's probably exactly why they went. Well, in the Bahamas, yeah, there's no laws if you're rich. So why don't you come over there? Or, hey, let's go to New Mexico. Out in the middle of nowhere, nobody asks any questions. And by the way, nobody looks for bodies. Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, but guess what? The fact that BB has the videos, that's not the crazy part. The FBI has the videos. Our people have the videos. Well, now you're really fucked, aren't you? Because anybody who's not in those videos with you, who sees that you're in the videos, they now have control over you too. So how many of those people are now double agents? Israel thinks they're working for Israel, but they're actually working for the CIA, who a lot of the CIA works for Israel. It's this big mess. See, when you're a spy, you're a fucking liar for a living. It's what you do. So what are you? You're a liar. Oh, okay, that's how you act, but who are you as a person? I'm a liar. Well, what do you do for a living? I'm dishonest. Why? For the greater good. And you want me to believe that you believe that? Yeah, but you're a liar for a living. Yeah, I know. Ironic, right? Wow, that's crazy. So we're in a really unique situation. The good news is that the more the Israelis act the way they act, the more they show their true nature, the more people around the world are absolutely shocked, stunned into silence by what they're watching. Because they're watching the Israelis do exactly what they accused others of doing to them. Well, wait a minute. You said this was done to you. Uh-huh. Yep, sure was. Then why would you turn around and do it to somebody else? Wouldn't you be a little bit more sensitive about it? Well, no. But your people understand what this is like. No, not really. It's like, okay, wait a minute. One of two things is true. Either this is a civilization with amnesia, the small group of 15 million people worldwide has amnesia, and it's not even that. It's only literally a million of them at most. At most. The other 14 million, cool people. Totally cool. A little neurotic sometimes for my taste, but you talk to any woman who's a Catholic, and they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, Jewish men make great husbands because their moms just beat the hell out of them when they were little. Now they just do whatever they're told." Oh, okay. That may be true with the kind that I grew up with in Hollywood and Beverly Hills, but the really hardcore ultra orthodox, let me tell you something. They are not like anyone else on earth. And given the opportunity, if it were them that had their finger on the big red button, they'd hit it in a heartbeat. They wouldn't even think twice about it. Not even a question. So right now they're out there doing their thing. Everybody's talking about what they're going to do next, and they're sweeping Christians out of southern Lebanon. There's a huge Christian population in southern Lebanon, or there was. They've all been displaced. A third of Lebanon has been displaced. They're in the process of destroying villages, churches, everything. They just want to kill everybody. And that's really sad. Really sad. But the world's just sitting by and watching for now. We'll see if Turkey does something about it. If they do, then there's a whole other way that World War III could start. Although it can start a lot of different ways right now, but that's one way that it could start real quick. But we'll see. Anyway, silver's doing its thing. It's doing what it should do. And you're going to need some. What's coming towards us right now is not like anything you've ever seen before. It really isn't. It's completely different than anything we've ever dealt with. So just be prepared. I'm making videos right now. I'm going over to Walmart and showing people what to buy. And, this bag of rice is $11. This bag of beans, here's some lentils, here's some things for seasoning, whatnot. If the grid doesn't fail, if there's no cyber attack, if none of these things happen, you still need to stock up now. And the reason I say that is because you're thinking is, well, hey, we live in the United States. We're not going to suffer from a famine. No, we're not. We are not going to suffer from a famine. We produce a huge amount of wheat. We have a lot of food. But there are going to be a lot of other places in the world this coming year that will have famine. And their people and their governments will pay an exorbitant amount of money to not die. And you are going to have to compete with them for all of those resources, not just oil, for wheat, for name it, beans, for everything. Everything that you eat right now, you're going to have to compete for with countries whose survival depends on it. So your survival may not depend on it. We may not have a famine, but be prepared. If that bag of rice that's $11 now is $40 or $50 next year, wouldn't surprise me at all. It also means that silver will be between $150 and $300 an ounce. And that's because they're going to lower the prime rate. They're going to flood the entire country with money again. That's the only way out of this. And it's going to make all the prices skyrocket on top of the fact that we're going to be competing with other countries. So it's going to be double-edged inflation. I mean, it's just obvious. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. It's something to think about. That's why I wrote my book. And by the way, that should be, I'll have copies of the book shortly, and I will also have videos up where you can just click and buy the book. But in the meantime, you can go to my my TikTok, and right on my homepage on my TikTok, you can click there and buy the book. And everybody else is charging 50, 60, $80 for whatever. It's stupid. $19. And believe me, I've read all their books, and some of them are good. Some of them are great. And some of them will get you killed. Period. Some of the things I've read in some of these books, I just went, oh my God, why would you tell somebody to do that? That's there. I just bought a book, $56 fucking dollars. And it talks about how to make your home into a fortress by sandbagging the front of your house and putting up exterior plywood on the windows. If you sandbag your house, you're literally telling them this fortress is here to protect something very, very important. Which means you better sandbag the whole goddamn thing all the way around and then put in bars and all. It's like they didn't think that through. The same book also talked about, using not cooking until 3:00 in the morning. Like cooking at 3:00 in the morning isn't going to wake people up. Have you ever had a coffee maker set on automatic? And when that fucker goes off, you don't wait for your alarm. I did this morning. I woke up and went, oh yeah, coffee. Oh shit, my alarm doesn't go off for another 5 minutes. My first thought was, 5 minutes. I could sleep for 5 more minutes. And my second thought was, no, you can't. You can't sleep for 5. Get out of bed, you dumb bastard. So I did. I got out of bed. Yeah. See, now that's what you want. You want a moat full of crocodiles, hungry crocodiles. That's probably a terrible idea because anybody that's got, like, I don't know, a spear will come along and eat your crocodiles. Yeah. Skip that. Go to plan B, which is buy my fucking book. Yeah, buy my book. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow night. That's funny. Don't eat my crocodiles. Somebody said, look up Hanta in Hebrew. What does Hanta mean in Hebrew? What does Hanta mean in Hebrew? And now it's telling me Honda. Oh, in Hebrew slang, Hanta means nonsense, a lie, a scam, or a fake. That's fucking funny. Is used colloquially to dismiss a story, idea, or situation as entirely bogus, similar to saying that's full of crap or rubbish. Okay, so Hanta. That's Hanta. That is some funny shit right there. Well, well, Charles, you've given me a pearl of wisdom to use on my next live stream. That's fantastic. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.